Can you put it on? Can you put iMessage on your computer on Do Not Disturb?
I'm saying I don't know. I'm sure I can.
I'm a PC boy, so you're gonna have to figure that one out on your own.
I don't listen. Pity is not going to get me out of this situation.
That was not pity.
No, I'm saying my pity for you not being,
Okay.
for being a PC boy.
You know what? If it's
PC
Android versus iPhone, you'd have me. Not that I have an Android anymore, but I will actually make the argument of PC over Mac very easily.
In terms of like, okay, that's the thing. I keep saying I want to get a gaming PC, like a dedicated gaming PC, but I'm also like, if I can't get text on that, like I'm not going to want to use it.
It is a little annoying, but I also have my phone next to me at all times, so it's like not that big a deal.
I mean, they have with the update, like there's a whole integration of like through my notes app, I can like take a picture of something and then it'll like immediately be on my, so like literally if I'm typing something on my computer and I'm like, oh shit, I need a passage from this book that I'm reading right now, I can just take a picture of that passage and then it'll be in my laptop like pretty much instantly.
Damn, that's pretty good.
Right.
They just need to, have video games on there.
There are video games.
Not as many.
Not as many, but
yeah. I mean, honestly, I should probably play more games before I pull that card on my PC. But
are you a PC gamer boy for real?
I am.
You're a fucking liar. I don't believe you. And there is no.
Every true PC gamer, I have about a dozen Steam games that I have never touched and probably never will, but they were on sale. So
I still haven't played through KOTOR, and I've had it like 2 laptops ago.
You should do that sooner rather than later, because with every passing year, it becomes more and more dated.
My thing is also with every passing year, we get closer to a remaster. Because
they're not going to remaster that, dude. It's Legends. It's Legends, my dude. It's not even canon anymore. If anything, they'll make a new Knights of the Old Republic with like a new story and shit.
Was that? I mean, that was EA and BioWare still, right? It was definitely.
I don't think it was EA. It was BioWare before they got bought by EA. But
I mean,
no, it's like I'm saying. I think the Disney overlords would prevent that from happening. I
think if the Disney overlords, it was EA, BioWare, and Obsidian.
I'm saying they probably have it now. I don't think they were involved at the time.
I was saying still like from what I'm seeing, like Jedi Fallen. That's the new one, right? Fallen Order. Yeah, because that one and Last Jedi, I get them confused all the time.
Don't you dare mention The Last Jedi.
The more I think about it, I still will defend that movie.
Yeah, it's a good movie. I like it.
Yeah. I genuinely think that I don't think Fallen Order. Fuck. I don't think the Star Wars
Fallen Jedi Order.
I don't think the Last Boy is gonna sell well, regardless. Like,
really?
I don't know. I have a feeling. Like,
I mean, we could probably check what its sales figures are for the first weekend. Like, it's been out for a few days now. I will Google this now.
All of it, man. Google me up. I just feel like with the Souls-like gameplay, it might throw off casuals. So like, but also it's a Star Wars game.
Insider article. Let's see what this says.
It's also a Star Wars game. I don't know. I just know that like EA has been fucking up the Star Wars license for years now. So I'm sure Disney's looking to pull out, especially because Disney is like consolidating their like games library into one umbrella.
Okay, so this site isn't loading, but I did see a headline that also said that it sold under Battlefront 2.
Oof. Wait, no, Battlefront 2.
I still think Battlefront 2 had good initial sales figures.
That's my thing. Like, I remember it was horribly received critically, but I don't remember what mass appeal.
I have internet. I don't know what's wrong with my computer right now.
Massachusetts.
Massachusetts. I appreciated you rambling while I was trying to get my.
Yeah, I'm just trying to fill the void.
I tuned back in at the last. Okay, Bo, what are we doing here?
We are talking about what I'm trying to. I don't know, just talking about stuff. We're babbling about nonsense, as the kids say.
That's not the part I wanted you to read, man.
What was the part that you wanted me? Oh yeah. Welcome, friends. to the Loosely Defined Show with Bo and
Ed.
I'm Bo. And that said, sit back, relax, put us on in the background as we define the irrelevant and loosely cover stuff that matters to us and probably no one else.
All but right.
Hopefully.
Welcome back to the Loosely Defined Show after a year off the airwaves, the space waves, the internet.
Dead air.
Dead air. Oh, we gotta call Johnny back.
Yeah, I'm gonna kidnap Johnny. Call back.
Yeah. Welcome back to anyone who might be listening who followed us back in our Passion Project days at Ithaca College. Obviously, forever thank you to Passion Project for allowing us to launch this in the first place, and getting Bo and I to finally record a damn podcast after 3 years of saying we would. Before that,
it was one of like before we were even really good friends. It was like
it was totally honestly like the first thing in our friendship was like,
listen to Community. You play Smash? You want to do a podcast? Like,
oh man,
and then,
but we finally did it.
And because Passion Project, so thank you.
And we'll continue to shout them out. But we are now setting out on our own here. And this podcast, as you're listening to it, exists on its own feed, or maybe you're listening to it on our YouTube channel, which also exists. This is we're kind of hoping to make this, hate to use the term, but a brand in and of itself. Sorry. So it's the flagship is this podcast. We will be releasing every week on Wednesdays. It's just going to be kind of like our show last time, except a little even more loose than that was before. It's going to be Bo and I just kind of bantering to each other for an hour to an hour and a half about, interesting, relevant topics, possibly irrelevant topics, most likely irrelevant topics.
I was going to say, most people psyched up for like news.
But we'll talk all things geek and nerdy that appeal to us, mostly movies, comics, TV shows, video games. Probably should have put video games higher up on that list, but
especially today,
especially today and the upcoming weeks. What are we getting into now? Let's hop right into it. Pokemon came out on Friday.
I love it, and I love it. No, just I love Pokemon so much.
Oh, okay. And that came the way I thought something like came. I thought someone was like crawling into your window, and you're like, "Oh shit!"
Pokemon crawled back into my heart. That's what happened. Like I genuinely did not expect myself to. I mean, and you remember my reaction to the first reveal trailer for Sword and Shield?
Yeah, it pissed me off. I was like, "Why are you not excited?"
Okay, frankly, I wanted Pokemon Breath of the Wild. And I should have known we were not going to get that. It was my fault for getting my expectations so high and whatever. But I don't know. I just remember seeing the first trailer and being like, oh, so it's just like more Sun and Moon. Word. I was expecting my mind to be fucking blown. Yeah. And then honestly, the trailer that revealed the legendaries, that's what got me. Because I was like, okay, it's a dog with a sword.
Dog, yeah.
I'm not going to not play this game.
It's the best selling point any video game can have.
Yeah,
is the sword dog.
So what is the game about? What do you do? Sword dog. That's it. Thank you.
I mean, honestly, I think the best part about it is that it is sort of refining base Pokemon. You know what I mean? It's pretty much just, at least from what I've played. I'm 3 gyms in.
I got
5 badges. It's about the gym challenge, and that's pretty much it. That is the reason you are playing. And all the other Pokemon games, especially by the time you got to Diamond and Pearl and Black and White, it was so much about the other stuff that the gyms were just I don't know, it seemed arbitrary. And then Sun and Moon did away with the gyms and then replaced them with basically the same thing. And
but it felt I honestly liked as much as I was like disappointed that it was more Sun and Moon, like I liked Sun and Moon just for the fact that they did shake things up a little bit with the Island Trials, right? That's what you.
Yeah. I mean, that
whatever.
stuff was cool. Like, it was definitely the big selling point for me. I mean, this could have just been the time when I played it because we were in school and, there was like other shit going on in my life. But like Sun and Moon, I played for like 3 weeks and like didn't touch after that.
Yeah, once I beat it, I was done. Like usually,
I didn't even beat it. I think I didn't even get like half the trials. Yeah, like I really like, I like just put it down and like stopped playing it almost entirely. And then the summer after it came out is when I got rid of my 3DS with most of my games or all my games, and then got a Switch. And then I was just waiting for Sword and Shield pretty much from that point on, like 2.5 years ago.
Yeah, the circle of life in perfect example. Oh my god, perfect. And for GameStop's whole circle of life like strategy of like, we're gonna.
It's smart. I mean, honestly, like I don't regret it because that summer I sold my Wii U and my 3DS and I got a Switch and a PS4. So like definitely an upgrade without a doubt. But like there's still a few games that I had on my Wii U and Switch and 3DS that they haven't ported over to the Switch. Like they ported most of the big games, but there's like a couple key ones that I can't play anymore, and it really bums me out. And both the Mario games, Super Mario 3D Land and Super Mario 3D World on 3DS and Wii U respectively were great. Especially 3D Land is like, I think one of the most underrated Mario platformers. Like
3D Land is the 3DS one, right?
Yeah, that's the one with like where they brought back the Tanuki suit and
I feel, but you can't really port. Like my favorite part, like that's probably the last Mario game that I really loved. Like I really enjoyed Odyssey, but as soon as I was done with that, I was like, okay, I don't think I ever need to play a Mario game again. Like it was one of those like I'm kind of over it type thing. But it just at the point it came out,
platformers aren't really your jam to completely, right?
No, I mean I'm not really a platformer guy, but I mean I'm always like I still have a soft spot for Mario. Just like he's Mario, But with 3D Land, like I felt like the 3D specifically, like with the gimmick of the 3DS, like that was probably the best game I think to use that. Like
absolutely.
Like Ocarina of Time was awesome in 3D.
There were a few games I played, like the Kingdom Hearts 3D, like didn't use 3D necessarily as a mechanic the way way Mario did, but the 3D greatly enhanced the visuals of that game, and like because there was so much action going on and like there was no slowdown when you played in 3D. So like all the effects, it was like watching like I don't know, like a current modern Disney movie like Frozen or Tangled in 3D, Like,
I think they had a beta for that, right?
I have no idea. I mean, by the time I got my 3DS, it had been out for like a year. So
I remember, like, I never owned that game, but I remember seeing it in 3D and being impressed. I might have like gone to like a Target or a Best Buy or something and like checked it out on the thing on the wall.
But anyway, they've ported that to the PS4, so like that didn't require 3D, but like you were saying, 3D Land did, and I think it would be doable to port that, but it would have to be like a remaster. And I think the way to go would be to like do a Mario 3D Land and Mario 3D World like remastered bundle. I don't think they'll do it. I mean, they probably should in terms of like any Mario game they put on the Switch is going to make millions and millions of dollars. But like, I'm sure that they probably have to use enough resources to do that they're better off making like Odyssey 2 or something. But
at this point, yeah, absolutely. Or like Galaxy 3. Like Galaxy 3 would sell units. Like if anyone
after the success of Odyssey, they're probably not going back to the Galaxy well. I thought for years they were going to do Galaxy 3 because they did Galaxy 2, which was unexpected. But like now that they've done Odyssey and it's been a success, I feel like they're better off just doing Odyssey 2. But I don't know. I mean, Galaxy 3 would sell, don't get me wrong, but
I wouldn't be surprised if they just rolled over the Odyssey canon, whatever, to like the Galaxy 3, whatever it would be. Like bring Cappy into space and like have that like they'd have to
cool.
They'd have to combine a lot
like
of
the
mechanics.
Odyssey engine with like the gravity effects of Galaxy.
Yeah, like just to and they won't do this. They'll probably go back and remaster Galaxy 1 and 2 before they do something like that.
That they should do 100%, 1,000%.
I remember
they should remaster all of them. Like 64, Sunshine, Galaxy, everything.
I really need to go back to the Wii's library because like there were so many games that were so good that I just like I'm waiting for the fucking Metroid Prime remasters because I was super hyped for Metroid Prime 3, got it day one, and then the motion controls made me sick. So I just couldn't deal. Like I'm waiting for a good port of these games.
I think they'll do the Prime trilogy because I mean, even though it's been delayed, like Prime 4 is eventually gonna come out.
Probably give a trilogy to like hold us over until
especially because the Prime 3 is like what 12 years old now or something like that. Like it probably came out in like 2007, right? Like
sounds about right. I was young.
So I feel like they're gonna. I mean, it's Nintendo. They want to get kids playing, even though Metroid's like a little older demographic. Like they still want to get kids playing, so they're gonna want to be like, hey, this is what this is a sequel to. Buy it and then buy 4 and
So like in terms of Nintendo being like the kid friendly like company, I feel like, and also rounding it back into Sword and Shield, like a lot of the complaints around Sword and Shield, like other than the fucking the pixel pop in and like this character just appeared in front of, I'm like it's Pokemon, shut the fuck up.
It's a video game.
The Witcher, like
did you
I don't know.
Do you know the meme where it's like James Franco in the Ballad of Buster Scruggs like about to get like hanged and he's like he turns and he's like first time. The best thing I saw for the whole Pokemon thing was like EA and Bethesda fans like to Pokemon fans like first time.
Just don't.
Like, Nintendo like is better than most companies, but they releasing a like unfinished, which is bullshit when it comes to Pokemon, but at least in the eyes of these fans, like releasing like a quote unquote unfinished game with like graphical glitches and stuff like slowdown is like par for the course for like every other AAA developer. Like even the ones who put out like some of the best games, like Bethesda games come out and up until like Fallout 76, like they all get like great reviews, even though everyone's like, yeah, this game's broken, but it's fantastic. Like Nintendo never does that, and now they like kind of did it. I don't think so, but
the thing is, it's not so much that Nintendo never did it, because if you remember in Sun and Moon when they introduced the Horde mode, like you encounter a shit ton of Pokemon at once, like the 3DS would slow the fuck down, like it would chug, and then
X and Y too. Like anytime you turned on the 3D, like everything dropped like 50% frame rate. Like it didn't
have 3D within the battles. Like it was just within the environment. So like that was like, I just feel like one, it's Pokemon. So like if you're going into this kids game, getting sad that you see a shadow, like the pixels on a shadow kind of edge up a little bit next to like, as you shut up, like you don't deserve this game, like that kind of thing. But also like just in terms of the more in my head, legitimate criticisms. And when I say legitimate, I mean like whenever I hear someone complain about the pixels, and like Puddlegate, when that happened for Spider-Man, I don't care. Like I know that game is not going to be what it is on the E3 show floor. Or the E3 presentation. I don't care. Like
yeah, like that all that stuff is always beefed up for the presentation, playing on the like highest res PCs and everything. Like
yeah, and like it's usually just. Running like that or not. Okay, never mind. I have no idea. So I'm not going to try to have any kind of authority in that. But like fucking the idea that Sun and Moon or what is this, Sword and Shield, are like too easy.
Yeah.
I disagree, but I get it. Like I feel like they definitely streamlined a lot of the the first time like I think it was either right before or right after the first battle with Hop, like your nice rival, like 3. Like he healed me up, like either right before or right after. I was like, oh shit, like okay, like I had enough potions to keep moving if I wanted to. I was close enough to the Pokemon Center to go back if I wanted to, but I don't need to do that now. And like it's not a matter of like all of my Pokemon leveling up in my party. That's not new, but
that's something they added. Well, because EXP share was always an item, or at least like for most of the games I played, like going back to like 3rd gen. But I think it was X and Y where they made it so that it shared with your whole team, and it was a key item that you turned on or off. And then I think this is the first one where it's not even an item; it's just how experience works in the game.
I think they did it in Let's Go, but also Let's Go was a different. Like I don't consider.
Well,
Let's
that was like a beginner Pokemon game, very
Yeah,
intentionally. Yeah, I mean, I yeah.
I mean,
In fact, I think the best parts about Sword and Shield so far for me are the things they carried over from Let's Go.
I agree.
I mean, I didn't know. I mean, because I was truly not following the news for Pokemon apart from like the big trailers, which revealed like some new Pokemon. And even then, I didn't really.
With the bigger, like I'm still running into Pokemon where I'm like, what the fuck are you? Like I have no idea. Like,
Damn.
We were talking about him earlier. The electric poison type, like toxicity, whatever his name is. I don't know.
Right. Yeah.
The fog. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Sorry if we don't know all the. It's still the first weekend. Give us a break.
That's why I don't do nicknames because I won't learn the names of the Pokemon otherwise.
Oh no, I'm because if it comes down, like I named my Scorbunny Mako after the guy that did the voice for Uncle Iroh and also the character Mako from Legend of Korra that was also named after the. So I'm just like, okay, cool. Got Mako. I don't know what his final I find like he's a big. I finally evolved him to the third evolution. There we go. Mm-hmm. I don't know his fucking name. He's Mako. Like, that's it.
Honestly, when you sent a picture to me or to our group chat of him evolving, and when I saw like Mako is evolving, I was like, oh, that's the name of the second evolution.
No.
Yeah, I did do nicknames initially for like my first like 3 captures, and then I was like trying to refer to them when I was like texting people, and I was like, oh wait, I have no idea what these Pokemon are called. I'm not gonna do names, and that happens to me every time there's a new generation. I'm like, I'm gonna do names, and then I don't learn the Pokemon, or 10 minutes after I set the name, I decide I don't like it. And thank God, of all like the like quality of life things, I really like that. Now in any Pokemon Center, you can change your Pokemon's names and remember old moves. Like these are things that like would not only cost you like items or money in previous games, but would only be available by going to one person in one town that you get to like 3/4 of the way through the game. Mm-hmm. And like, to be honest, like to your point about them making the game too easy or to the fans' points about that, like I've been actually beating that drum since like generation like 5, I think. Whenever they made like TMs reusable and then the EXP share in X and Y. And now granted, I loved X and Y, didn't really like Black and White or Sun and Moon, as we've already talked about. But some of that like easier stuff, like streamlining the process, I didn't like because it felt like it was just catering to the competitive side and not to the single player side. Whereas I liked things like HMs because they force you to both think about what your Pokemon's moveset and what Pokemon you use are going to affect you in battle and in the world. Like when you're actually playing through, you know, like, oh, like I need to have a Pokemon that can use, you know, strength. Like how can I best use, like there was a strategy to the single player that was separate from the strategy to the competitive. And I felt like they weren't balancing that well for a while, but maybe it's just like a new set of eyes that I'm coming to Sword and Shield with or whatever. But I feel like with this game, they've smoothed it all out, and it really does feel like quality of life improvements.
Yes.
Whereas like, you know, like it felt like before the competitive and the single player sides were separate and they were reducing the single player side to appeal to the competitive side. Now it feels like they're one and the same. And that I think is what they were going for. And again, I don't know, like maybe I just was not appreciating it before. And that like I am now, but I don't know. It feels so much better now than it did when they first started doing it in the other games. And like certain things like TMs being reusable, I think are great. Like obviously, like I think that's a good idea. I liked the idea of HMs and whatnot. Like I do wish you had to have a Pokemon with Fly and Surf. Like that's just like a weird, like maybe it's just tradition and like what I'm used to. I don't know.
Me, to the point of HM, and I know that that's not like I agree with largely with what you're saying in terms of like the streamlining and the general quality of life, ease of use stuff. I'm just gonna nitpick on the HMs bit, like. With HMs, like, and I'm actually going to try to extrapolate this to like something. So in terms of HMs, like they put up obstacles within the world and then you have to kind of get around them with specific moves. But like for me, once I realized like, oh, yo, fucking Bidoof can take all of my HMs.
Right.
Can take 4 HMs. Like I would literally just
HM slave.
Yeah, like I would just keep a Bidoof on my team as my 6th slot. If I lost my first 5 Pokemon, I lose. Like it's just one of those type things. And like if I run into something and Bidoof doesn't have the HM, like I have to go back to and get my other Bidoof because
like that's definitely what I think. Maybe not most, but a lot of players did. And it'd be fucked up of me to say like, oh, you're playing the game wrong, because like the game does nothing to incentivize you not to do that, other than the fact that you only have 5 Pokemon. But like, you know, it's just basically pick your poison. On whether you're gonna like stretch the HMs on your whole team or whatever. But I always like enjoyed that process, and that's just a me thing. So I can't
like to adapt from that. Like they made the overall world like I have to think about where I'm moving now. Like especially as I'm getting to I just got to the 6th gym. Like, I haven't or the town, the 6th town rather. And like trying to get between the 5th to the 6th town, like it's actually some work trying to just move around the world and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, no, I mean even just I'm at the point where you try to keep it spoiler light, I guess, but like I'm at the point where you have to enter the wild area for the 2nd time, like where you have to enter it to get further in the game, and I like recently swapped out a bunch of my Pokemon and started training some new ones. So I've got like half my team is kind of.
Oh, and wait, did you have to go back to the Pokemon Center to do that? To swap out your Pokemon?
I did. I keep forgetting I have the box.
Oh, I was trying to set you up for for the record, if you didn't know, you can just at any point just swap out to your PC from your.
That stuff is cool. I love it so much. I had mixed feelings on that at first too, because I don't know, like it just felt weird. I don't know, like I'm such a traditionalist. Like it does, but it's also like it does remove some of the challenge. I don't know, like
where's the challenge from it? Like if it's not.
To finish my point though, I just because the game is still challenging. Like the point I'm at, I'm fighting Pokemon that are like 5 levels over my like at the lowest, they're still higher level than the Pokemon I just added to my team that I'm training, who are like 25. Like, and then some of the like I fought a level 50 Pokemon in the wild area earlier, and like I could have tried to escape. But I was like, screw it. Like, in no other Pokemon game do you have the option to like take on like a really hard like enemy. Like, I mean, usually you could if you like underlevel your team, but if you're going at pace with the rest of the game, you're always going to be around the levels or above of what you're like facing in the wild or in the gyms and stuff. But now it's like, oh no, like you could take on that Pokemon, but there's a chance that it's like 10 levels above you. And it could fuck you up easily. And that's mostly just in the wild area with the strong Pokemon. But even just in the routes and the gyms, like I was surprised at how much of a challenge it was. Like I'm losing. My Pokemon are fainting left and right as I play through the game. Like I was very surprised by that. And I don't know. I can't pinpoint exactly what that difference is because everything else seems easier. Like you have more access to moves. You gain a lot more experience. Like I don't know what it is, but
I mean, I feel like in past Pokemon games. Like especially when I'm fighting a trainer, they'll like their first move will usually be like a primer, like some kind of like buff or debuff on either me or themselves. But in this, I'm getting like one hits. Like if I go in with a shitty type advantage, like they will take advantage of that and one hit me from the first move. So like I feel like the trainers, I can't really speak too much on the Pokemon themselves, like in the wild from what I can tell, but like. I feel like the trainers are more aggressive. I have no evidence to back this up. It's just a feeling. Have you felt any of that or no?
I think I don't know. I mean, I haven't really noticed a huge difference with the trainers because one thing I definitely have noticed, and this is not specific to this game. I noticed it in Sun and Moon too, and it definitely bothered me there. I feel like there's less trainers on routes like to battle. Like the routes are shorter, which is probably just a matter of like them being like 3D and having like more in the background and whatnot. But like there were sections in like Red and Blue or like Fire Red and Leaf Green where you would have to fight like 10 trainers before you entered a cave. You know what I mean? Like it was.
To be honest with you, it does get to that point. Like it does. initially I kind of agreed with you, but like the further I get into the game, the more I'm just like, okay, just finish this battle, and then I look ahead and I'm just like, fuck, all right, let's do this. Like it does get more intense as the game goes on.
Well, speaking of which, we will continue to talk about Pokemon next week, where we will do a full start to finish Pokemon episode. We're gonna rank all 8 generations of the series, and give our full review of Sword and Shield, which I think I'll be done by then.
I'll definitely be done by then.
Yeah, because I'll have a lot of time to play between now and our next recording. So we'll give our full review, having completed the main story. Right now, we're still only part way through. Bo's a little further than I am. So we wanted to get into a larger discussion about the current state of physical and digital media, which is something that Bo and I talk about on a pretty regular basis.
Yeah. It
sometimes
just comes up out of
agreeing, usually disagreeing.
It's like we'll start agreeing. It's like I'll usually start trying to antagonize him as a joke, and then he'll say something, and I'm like, "Oh wait, no, you make a good point." And then 2 minutes later, it's like, "Wait, no, actually," and then I just
it's always it's always when you you'll be typing stuff, texting me or whatever, and you'll say one thing, and then you'll say another, and before I have a chance to reply, I'll be like, you know what? Never mind. You'll convince yourself.
Just double down.
Yeah. But a big part of this conversation is the recent streaming service launches. Disney Plus obviously being the biggest one. And as we're recording this, Google Stadia for video games comes out tomorrow, right?
Full launch tomorrow. Yeah, okay, so that's the thing. Full launch? Question mark?
Yeah, okay. Let's start with that then, because I truly know nothing about this other than what you've told me when they first announced it. So, what is Stadia about to be getting into, and does it look like it's going to be successful?
So, a lot of caveats with Stadia, I feel, because for one thing, you have the whole xCloud is about to kind of destroy it, from what I can tell.
What's xCloud?
xCloud is Microsoft's streaming platform. Essentially, they're trying to. Well, for one thing, if you didn't know, Xbox and PC, they're trying to do a lot with PC. So if you have an Xbox and you have a PC, you can play your Xbox games on your Windows browser or whatever.
Microsoft corporate synergy.
Yeah, which I think is dope. As a PlayStation fanboy, I think that's awesome. To me, that is their selling points. And Xbox Game Pass, where Xbox Game Pass, where it is the Netflix of games, where it is I think it's $10 a month, $20 a month. I can't remember. It's something reasonable. And you get new games, and they keep adding older games to Game Pass. And it is just, hey, at this point you're downloading them, but with xCloud, it will be literal, or not literal, but you know what I'm trying to say, actual Netflix for games, where it is just you click a game, you're streaming it. Mm-hmm. So with Stadia, the promise that, and I was really hype initially,
Yep.
I was.
These are the kind of arguments that we get into. Is that Bo will come to me with something, and I'll just be like, come to me when it works.
I'm more. Okay, so for one thing, I think Stadia,
my DVDs work.
I wanted it to accomplish in terms of making, because I remember a while ago, because first it was PlayStation's had PlayStation Now for a while, their bullshit streaming platform, which I can't even call bullshit anymore, because apparently it is playable. It's $10 a month now, and they have fucking God of War, Uncharted 4, bars, just a bunch of really good games on there that I'm not gonna jump in yet, but I'm convinced at some point I will try it out. But Stadia, so it's Google's attempt to breach the gaming market. I was all hyped for it because it was yo, everything is gonna be, we have servers that are gonna run your games. You're going to use our service to access those servers and then play games wherever you want. To me, the dream, for the selling point for the Switch was you can play Skyrim on a plane, and you can play Skyrim on a plane with the Switch. That's awesome. With this, it was a matter of, you're watching YouTube, and then you see a browser for the hottest new game. So you click the ad and you buy the game immediately. And you're playing as soon as I click the ad, it links up because I'm using YouTube and YouTube linked to Google. Like, has my my account number, all that shit. I have the game now. I'm playing the new Destiny expansion right now. Oh, and you know what? I'm having a lot of fun. I'm enjoying this. I want to go to my couch. I'm going to sit on my couch. I'm just going to pause the game right here, go to my couch that has the Chromecast Ultra, sit on my couch, and I'm playing it 4K, 60 frames per second, as long as I maintain 10 megabyte download speeds or whatever. So one, Stadia's like launch catalog is ass. Like they were promising.
Talk to me. What are we seeing on it?
Like, actually, okay, let me pull up the actual Stadia launch list. But it's like the thing that they're really selling and banking on in terms of marketing and in terms of like their like, hey, when you buy the Founders Pack, which was like $130, you get a controller, a Chromecast Ultra, and 6 months of Stadia, and you get the Destiny Complete Edition, which like I love Destiny. Game is it's become like, I'm sure we'll get into this later. It may or may not have worked its way back into like my game of the year contender, like Destiny Shadowkeep. Like and we'll have that discussion, like this expansion. Have that discussion eventually, but like it's launching with old game. Like I have the list right here. Assassin's Creed Odyssey, good but old game. Attack on Titan, I don't know. Baldur's Gate 3, which is like an exclusive, unreleased.
Oh wow. Okay. I know there are people who are big fans of that series. I've never played it, but I remember
watching the Stadia Connect and seeing that and being like, "Oh shit, okay!" Like, because it's one of the great RPGs or whatever. So like, I want to play it. Borderlands 3, great but old game. Cyberpunk, not released yet. Darksiders Genesis, not released yet. Destiny 2, out but old. Destroy All Humans. I assume that's the remaster.
Oh, the remake, yeah.
Doom, out but old. Doom Eternal was supposed to be there like for launch, but then it got delayed, so not there. Xenoverse 2, old. Farming Simulator 19, not a console seller. Like it's not going to make me sign up for a whole new thing. Like
I gotta be honest. I'm okay. Just some of these games are like 2-3 years old, so that's pretty bad. But like honestly, like that as far as launch lineups go, that doesn't sound that bad.
So as far as launch lineups, sure. Like my thing is, for every game that I'm interested in on this list, like Red Dead 2, which I don't think is going to be their launch. Like they're showing a lot of games on here that like look good, but it's like I either, if I wanted to play them, I already would have, you know, like
that's fair.
Like if I didn't already have Doom, I'm not going to play it on Stadia, especially with like I've seen. So here's another thing, like they're talking about like the latency issue, because like in terms of streaming, that's going to be a big deal, because like especially if you're playing a fighting game, like they're promoting Mortal Kombat 11 for this, like
all those button inputs have to be immediate. Yeah,
I mean Mortal Kombat's like a slower game, but there's still like precise. You have to
absolutely.
And from what I'm hearing, and the controller is supposed to be special because it'll connect directly to through Wi-Fi directly to the servers. So instead of you like bouncing from your controller to the screen to your Chromecast or whatever to the server back and all that, it's just direct. Like even then, like the latency apparently is not that bad, but like that's only if you're using it on your TV with the Chromecast Ultra. Oh, and also if you already have a Chromecast Ultra, it's not going to work unless you use the one that's like in the box, like in the Stadia box. They're going to try to patch it in a future date, but like, yeah,
that's the thing. It's like, what are they going for on this launch? Because like streaming games is not like, it's still at the early stages. Like it's not like Disney Plus launching a streaming service when everyone has already accepted that streaming video is a thing. It's like is Google trying to be the like slowly work people into it the way Netflix did, or like are they hoping this is going to be like a huge hit at launch?
I would hope that, like, I don't know, my thing. So with xCloud specifically, they've been running a beta since E3. I think it's been since E3, but like for the last few months at least. And from what I'm hearing, it's working well. Like every time Kind of Funny is covering just the general like streaming wars and stuff like that. And like Greg Miller's been saying that like he's excited about xCloud. Like he's PlayStation fanboy. Like he is the Sony pony, and he is excited about xCloud. And from what he bought the Stadia Founders Pack, so like he was also excited about that. But you know, I only caught like the first 20 minutes of Kind of Funny Games Daily today, and like he was not excited. Like I saw a video today of someone trying to play I think it was Destiny on there, because also if you play on your play through the Chrome browser, like to me the dream is, oh shit, this game came out today, I have it now, I'm playing it right now, like within like, oh
yeah, without having to wait for a download or something.
Yeah, that's the other thing. No download. Like, and from what I saw like I was just scrolling through Twitter to see if there were any like positive feelings about it, and I saw someone saying, hey, in Stadia's defense, the idea of being able to boot up a game instantly, not have to wait for a download, not have to wait for a patch. Like I'm just thinking every time we've booted up Overwatch and it's like, oh, mine didn't update while it was rest mode, so we've got to wait 20 minutes while I'm, like y'all run some duos or something like that.
Yeah.
Like it sounds cool, but also I saw someone hit their and with enough time to hit their space bar and then gesture to the camera and like at the screen, like in a comedic way, like click, jump, like that level of latency on PC.
Yikes.
So it's just
yikes.
I was excited and now I'm not.
That's the thing. Like for something like this to work, it has to work really well, at least for the people who are gonna buy it at launch, and you assume that's like people who are really into tech, people who are really into video games,
like the early adopters, the people
exactly the ones who probably do shell out and have like high-speed internet and stuff like that. So if that's not working for those people, then like someone like me who, I mean, I'm not even the best example because I'm still like a big gamer and stuff, but like I don't have super high-speed internet, so I know this will not work for me. Like it will be unplayable for me. So even if no interest.
Have fantastic internet, you have fantastic internet. You're super excited about Stadia. You got the Founders Edition. You might not get your Stadia tomorrow. Like they've announced like, oh yeah, well we're gonna do like a staggered release where like we're gonna start releasing them out on the 19th, but like, and also included was like the Buddy Pass where, you could give your friend Stadia Pro for I think 3 months for some. That might not be there in the box. So like, there's just a lot of issues with this launch. Like there's no reason, like IGN's still doing their like review and process right now, but like they said if they were to give it something right now, it would be a 6 out of 10. So like, yeah. And knowing Google's track record of like, hey, this is going to be the future. And then, like, what was the last? I can't even remember what their Google Plus. What was it called?
Oh yeah, Google Plus. Yeah, the social media. I was just gonna say, like, they have, but they're able to do one of two things. They can either release something, knowing that it's not necessarily gonna hit, and just kind of like shell out money just as an experiment. Like they have the means to do that. Like Google Glass, right? There was like a single day release of that. And like that hasn't become like mainstream or anything since. Like it just kind of like was a thing, kind of almost like a proof of concept, and then it like went away. Google Plus was something where they released it, no one used it, but they actually kept that shit running for like years.
I'm sure they could bullshit their way into like, well, if you have a Google like a Gmail account, then like you have Google Plus. So like,
well, that's
look how many users we have.
But now they've just simplified it, so it's just like a Google account, and like it's not really like as much a social media thing anymore. But like that's what a company that big is able to do, is just like, they have like endless capital, so they could launch Stadia, and if enough people play it, that at least it's a proof that it works, it's proof of concept, then they could keep it running for like 2 years, and then they have like a second launch or something, like in 2 years or a year from now.
My thing is, if they're going to do that, then why not have tomorrow be the release of the beta version?
That's what confuses me about it, is like them doing a staggered launch makes me think, okay, so this is like a soft release and they're going to do like a big wide release later on. But it sounds like it's more like they're just kind of stumbling towards release. And I don't get that strategy at all.
it really feels unfinished. Like I mean, not just like the final product or whatever, just like the entire concept and the plan around it. Like it just really feels like someone was like I don't know, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, yo, we're gonna make a like our own gaming platform going into 2020, and then people kind of slept on it, and they're like, oh shit, like 2020 is next year, and then they kind of like rushed it out. Like they just picked a date, and they're like, well, whatever we have by this date, we're gonna like just throw it out there. Because they like the news about like certain things, like certain features not being a part of it, like, hey, that wireless controller that you were talking like all excited about, that's not going to be like if you're using it on your phone. And also like we're only going to be on Google Pixel, like the very new Google Pixel phone, which it makes sense. Like they're trying to push their phone or whatever, but also like don't say, hey, for everyone. Like that, to me, that cuts down such a huge part of your market. Like
I think it's interesting that they would do that, because I've always felt one of the smartest things that Apple ever did was making it, and Microsoft too with Office, is that like if you have a Mac, you can still get Office, and if you have a PC, you can still get like iTunes and everything. Like I've always felt like that's smart, because it's just like it's like casting a line out. You know, it's like, do you like this? Do you want it to work even better? Like then buy our product. You know, like I like Prime is available. Like you don't have to have a Fire Stick to use Prime. You know what I mean? Like I don't get why Google. I mean, because Google has all this stuff and they have the capital to waste, but at the same time, like I don't know many people with a Google phone. I don't know many people with like a Chromebook, like that's like their dedicated computer. You know, I know more people with Fire Sticks and Rokus than I do Chromecasts. Like I'm sure. Like Chromecast is popular. Like I know a lot of people who have that.
I mean, from what like I like it, from the very limited use, like I've used a Roku, I've used Fire Stick, I've used Chromecast is fucking awesome. Like I love Chromecast.
But even then, like, I know more people with Apple TVs, honestly.
Really?
Yeah, like I not so much my like close friends or anything, but I've like been to a lot of places where like it was an Apple TV. Plus is like, again, it's like Apple has all the integration and everyone has an iPhone, you know? I mean, like, even if like, well, that's a lot of people have an iPhone.
Yeah. No, I was going to say, like, it's surprising because from what it, and I was about to say this very confidently, and then I'm like, I took this class a while ago. Just in one of like the marketing classes, they said that like Apple's like actually like only like 30% of people actually have iPhones. Like some like
30% of phone users.
Phone users, yes. I'm sorry.
Okay. Well, that makes sense to me, because when you think about it, I'm sure like 50% of phone users are still like people with flip phones.
Yeah, but like
old people and people who can't afford like data plans and stuff like that. You know, like
my thing is, I think if Google can position them, my ultimate point is I think that if Google powers through this, they could bullshit their way into being like the Apple of gaming or whatever, where because like if you think about like there's so many competitors in the PC game, like in the PC space, but then there's also Apple. It's like you'll have HP, Acer, Lenovo, fucking Dell, all them, you know, on one side, and then Apple. Like if you can have, because you already see like Microsoft and PlayStation saying that they're going to start sharing resources to try to like combat Stadia's streaming, like
right.
But that was before we knew that it wasn't going to be exactly what we wanted it to be, all that kind of thing. But still, like if we have the alliance of the big three, and then you throw Valve in there if they decide to make a game every once in a while, I'm like,
well, I mean, but that's the thing though, is I think what the biggest risk is for Stadia is that they'll prove it can work and then everyone else will do it better. Like kind of like Moviepass. Like Moviepass was like huge for like a year, and then like AMC, Regal, all these other like theater chains and companies started doing their own version of it that was better, more stable, actually, you know, made money. And like then Moviepass eventually fizzled out, you know, like Google's not Moviepass, but like it could happen. You know, like especially it's like almost the same thing with like now people are saying, oh, Netflix could be like, you know, killed by Disney Plus or HBO or whatever. Like the fact that people are even saying that is crazy when like 5 years ago Netflix had damn near a monopoly.
Yeah, you know? Right. Yeah. Right. I just actually, you know what? Yeah, I'm backtracking. Because with the point you made about like
victory.
Yeah, the point you made about like just the AMC, like, because I love AMC Stubs. Like, I honestly don't use it enough, but like every time I go there, I'm just always shocked at like this was like one very much like if I go more than once within a month, it's just like this was very much worth the money. First of all,
it pays for itself as long as you go twice. Yeah.
Just in terms of like a customer service experience, it is nice being able to just, in terms of like trying to like if Moviepass were to come back today with the exact same price, the $10 a month pricing model and all that, like, I mean, $10 a month, shit, no, I would do it. But
no,
like,
if it was $10 a month, that was the weird thing about Moviepass is like I never went to a single theater while I had Moviepass where a ticket was under $10. So every time I used it, they lost money. Like it didn't make any sense.
That was the thing when we used Moviepass. It was just, we are all like it's like we were just everyone that used Moviepass across the country was using a stolen credit card together, and we were all. It's like, all right, we're gonna listen. We all need to be smart about this. Like, don't waste it on because like I personally felt like if I see a movie, like it's gonna take it from someone else. Like we have there is an end to this bank account. We need to run it out. Don't get me wrong, but like let's be smart about it.
I mean, there were so many things I saw just because I had Moviepass, and it was like, I mean, the same thing is sort of happening with AMC, but even then, I feel a little more like, oh, I gotta be like. I don't know. I got to be a little like smarter with how I use it, but I don't know. I mean, if Moviepass came back, they would have to have a higher price, and I would consider it only just because they like you can use it at any theater. But AMC and Regal, like the perks of going to an AMC for me now have like skyrocketed because I can see 3D movies, IMAX movies, regular movies, any of the like. Dolby Digital like music ones. What?
Unreleased movies.
Yeah, unreleased. I can just walk into the projection booth and take the movie home.
Avatar 5 is insane. I thought the blackface was a little like tasteless, but I'm saying James Cameron is trying to push boundaries in the wrong direction.
What they just use the Avatar technology to instead of becoming blue people, they just become black people. It's just Sam Worthington becoming.
The allegory of the first one was all about like environmentalism and indigenous peoples and preservation. And over time, the messages are just going to get more and more like perverted. Like, the third one is encouraging over farming.
It's just James Cameron locking himself in like a room, just like, no, this is a great idea. We are going to recapture the success of the first one. I promise you that.
James Cameron is convinced that Alex Jones was actually the second coming, and he's trying to like deconstruct InfoWars and like put together some kind of alien odyssey.
He's got like Endgame's box office number with like a target on it on the wall. Just like, you took the crown from me.
Just scratching the
I held it since 1997.
I was a god.
I am a god, you dull creature.
Oh God, I want that movie.
I want to use this to transition because we ended up talking about Stadia longer than I thought, but I'm glad because I learned a lot. But I want to touch on Disney Plus because while gaming streaming is obviously something that's gonna come eventually, but we're still in the very early stages of streaming video is the norm now. I like just. I'm still a Blu-ray buyer. I'm still a physical media buyer, not with TV really, but with film. I am. What?
Blu-ray boy.
I'm a Blu-ray boy. Blue Man Group. I was trying to make it connect, but it didn't really. Anyway, but not only are like DVD and Blu-ray sales apparently like half what they were like 5 years ago, which makes sense. I'm not too surprised, but like Disney Plus. Maybe won't be able to like take down Netflix on its own, but this new streaming service had over 10 million signups on the first day. And like, I don't know, my Twitter sphere is pretty algorithmically designed to show me this stuff, but it seemed like a lot of people were talking about, the Mandalorian and all the old cartoons that are on it and like the movies and like all the original content. Like, it just seems like this is as successful a launch as you could hope for something like this. And it's not surprising that Disney of all companies would be able to do that. But I honestly think when HBO Max comes out next year, it's also going to be a huge hit because
I'm very excited.
Because HBO already is like one of the top like choices for a lot of people because their premium content is so good.
Yes, so good.
But HBO Max is going to just be like essentially like a slight upgrade. Like if you have HBO already, you'll probably only have to pay like a few dollars more to get Max, and you'll get a lot more content from what I can tell.
Cartoon Network.
Yeah, Cartoon Network. So a lot of the DC stuff, like Joker, is going to be on at launch there. So I'm sure like half the people who are like, oh, I could go spend more than half the people who are like, oh, I really love Joker. I could go spend $25 on the Blu-ray, or I could spend $15 a month on HBO Max and watch the Joker like a dozen times, and then also watch, you know, all of Game of Thrones and everything, and Watchmen and everything new that's coming out. Like
Billy and Mandy.
Really?
No, just Cartoon Network.
Oh, I thought they were like bringing back Billy and Mandy.
Yo, if they were bringing back Billy and Mandy, I would be screaming it from every rooftop in America. Are you kidding me? So, man.
They're bringing back all these like Nickelodeon things for Netflix now. Like that.
The Invader Zim movie was like,
so, I mean,
that gave me hope.
They could really like Cartoon Network, I think, is like, I mean, but even then, like on Cartoon Network in the past couple of years, they brought back like Powerpuff Girls and stuff. So like that era of cartoons is definitely like the nostalgic period to draw from now.
So 90s kids galore.
But I just want to give like first impressions on Disney Plus, because I think it is really changing the game, especially for me, because what keeps me buying Blu-rays most of the time are these like franchise movies. Like I'm a completist when it comes to that. Like I want to have the entire MCU on my shelf. I want to have all of the Star Wars movies on my shelf, like, and so on. And I gotta admit, like I got a lot of the same feeling scrolling through Disney Plus, going to the Star Wars section and seeing like every movie up through like Rogue One on there.
Where I still honestly haven't like gone through it that much. Like I forget that like Disney makes a lot of shit. They make so much stuff.
There's so much Fox stuff on there now too, you know.
And I keep forgetting about that too. Like I logged on for Mandalorian and I was like, oh, this is awesome.
Yes.
And then I immediately went to YouTube to watch all of the content surrounding Mandalorian about like the theories, and because I'm still like I don't know. Like I'm a new Star Wars fan. Like I used to call myself like a fake Star Wars fan, but like I genuinely do enjoy it now. Like I get excited when I see the trailers for the new stuff. Like not the same level of excitement, but like all this to say, I have a lot of questions. So like I'll see something and I'm like, okay, I know that has significance. Who is why? It
seems like people are talking about it in the way that like that same kind of thing would happen with Game of Thrones, where like a cliffhanger would happen and like everyone is like, what does this mean? Like I'm seeing that with Mandalorian in a way I kind of didn't really expect. I knew it would be big with Star Wars fans, and I knew I didn't
expect myself to like it as much as I did. I'm just like on it was Pedro Pascal as Boba Fett, and not actually Boba Fett, but you know, like
visually
in my head,
like to the casual fan, that is like the Boba Fett armor. And
like to me, as the casual fan, I Boba Fett is the badass. He's the badass with the jetpack and the cool mask, cool. And then you have the Viper from Game of Thrones, and he's going to be that, and you know, space stuff, cool. Sign me up. Like I don't have the same
cast with like Werner Herzog and
like
Nick Nolte and
Taika Waititi. Like as a TV fan, I'm on board. But like I did not expect myself. Like this is like one of my most anticipated watches of the week. Like Watchmen is the shit. Like Watchmen is my number one most anticipated show every week so far. But like I did not expect Mandalorian to be I didn't expect myself to enjoy it as much as I did. Like its quality, I didn't really have any kind of like expectations, but just like my love for it, I had no idea.
It seems like it's really striking the balance between like being that show for the hardcore Star Wars fan while also being accessible. Because my biggest issue with like the other spinoff stuff they've done in the Disney era, like Solo and Rogue One, really Solo. I think Rogue One stands on its own pretty well, although by the end of it, it's very much like a New Hope fan service, but it's fun. You know, I enjoy it as a fan of those. And like, if you're going to do fan service to any Star Wars movie, like the one you're probably most easily able to get away with is the first Star Wars movie, the one that was literally just called Star Wars. So it's probably the most seen Star Wars movie out of all of them. So like, I think you can get away with it. But Solo, like, spoilers for Solo if you care, if you haven't seen it and you care, but
you don't care.
Whatever. So the end of that movie reintroduces Darth Maul for people who haven't seen Clone Wars and Rebels and stuff. And I had seen Clone Wars. I'm watching Rebels now on Disney Plus, but like the Darth Maul reveal at the end of that should have been the hypest shit, because Phantom Menace was like my favorite movie growing up. Darth Maul is like still one of my favorite like Star Wars characters, but he just showed up in a hologram, opened his lightsaber or turned on his lightsaber just
for
so
no
could,
reason.
like, see that he had it. Like, oh, cool. Like, just to do nothing, just to be like slightly intimidating.
Just imagine someone being like, wait, who is that guy again? And then they're like, oh, because the spikes and the red face didn't give it away.
Yeah.
Like, I was just someone in like a test group, like everyone immediately is like, oh, and there's just one dude just like not getting it. He's like, could you add like his lightsaber, please?
Like, don't get me wrong, it was cool and everything, and like, but it felt like the ending of the first Avengers end credit scene where you see Thanos, right? And that means nothing to the casual fan who doesn't know who Thanos is, but to the people who know who Thanos is, to the people who are just into the movies and are like, who's that guy? Like, it's exciting. But they put that in the movie. Like, it's in, like, the Darth Maul scene is in the actual movie. It's not a post-credit scene. It is the end of the movie. And it tees up sequels that we're never going to get because we're moving away from that. Like, maybe he shows up in a TV show. I guess there was rumors a few weeks ago that they were going to do some sort of like Disney Plus series that was like Solo, like using the characters they established, either like a Lando series or a Solo series or something, but basically continuing the threads that would have been in like a Solo 2. But it doesn't seem like we're going to get that. I would be surprised if we get a Solo series announced, especially because if you want to bring back Lando, you got to get Donald Glover to sign on to a Disney Plus series. And like, I was surprised they even got him for the one. I mean, I'm sure they dumped truck of money to his house, but you know, like that whole thing surprised me. But yeah, like the Mandalorian is doing a great job of like showing us old stuff that's familiar, but it's not like, here's a specific character that you either know or you don't know. It's like, oh, here are like light spoilers for episode 2, but like here are Jawas, you know, like, and if you've seen the original Star Wars, you know what these guys are, but it's not like important that you know what they are. Like, you know, they're scavengers. Exactly. Pretty immediately, you know, okay, these are scavengers because they're taking all the parts from a ship. Like that's all you really need to know, you know. Knowing that Nick Nolte's character is an Ugnaught does nothing for the like appreciation of the show. But like,
I had no idea about. I don't even know what that is, but I still love the show.
Like, it's just like an alien that was in the background and like in some scenes in like the original trilogy, and now this is just another one of the same species, and like that's cool but not important. And
I also didn't know that was Nick Nolte until they said it on Kinda Funny, because he's a little alien boy, and I just
the cast is so good. It's like all these like super high class actors in like small roles or like voice roles at like they're really pulling out all the stops for it, and I think people can tell. Like I think it's clear this isn't like a spin-off. This is like a thing that could define the future of Star Wars, you know? Like
I'm not gonna say like I'm forcing myself into it, but like I did for a long time, like just not
forcing yourself.
Didn't even get that. But like growing up with not Star Wars, like I watched, like I had the Legos, like I saw the movies in theaters. I saw the Phantom Menace and Revenge of the Sith in theaters. Like something in me told me not to go see the second one.
You saw Phantom Menace in theaters? We were 2 years old.
Then it must have been fucking.
I mean, they re-released it like 10 years ago or something, but.
Okay, then I think I saw the re-release because like I'm 99% sure I saw Phantom Menace.
They did like a 3D re-release because George Lucas really wanted to like re-release all of them in 3D, and then he started with Phantom Menace, and no one saw it. So
it must have been that because I know that I've seen 2 Star Wars movies in theaters, and I know that it couldn't have been, or 2 Star Wars movies before the.
And it wasn't Attack of the Clones?
No, I know for a fact I still have not seen Attack of the Clones. That is I have not seen Attack of the Clones or Return of the Jedi, and I've only seen like the first half of Empire. But like I know things.
Any diehard Star Wars fan listening to this is like digging their nails into that.
I invite all of it. I do not care. Like I've seen the fan.
Not only have you said you liked The Last Jedi, but you said you didn't even finish Empire.
I mean, look, I'm never going to butt my head. Like if there's a serious Star Wars discussion unfolding in front of me, I'm only going to listen. Under no circumstances if hey, well, I think Finn is the second reincarnation of the Emperor, and we're going to see that in the next one. Like I'm never going to. If that's true, we recorded this 11/19. Neither of us have seen the movie. I just want to future proof this. 11/18. Today's 11/18. Good Lord. I'm just like, if would that be crazy if just at some point like they turn around and Finn just John Boyega just say like force lightning out of. I mean, just I don't know, just JJ Abrams being like, we're trying to be subversive, like.
Oh God.
But yeah, honestly, now that Disney Plus like has all the Star Wars movies, like I can see McClunky and I can get mad about it, and like I can like I do want to go back. I want to watch Clone Wars. I still haven't.
You definitely watch Clone Wars. I've been watching. I think I said this before. I've been watching Rebels, and I really like it. I think I like Clone Wars more from what I've seen so far of Rebels, but like they're both so good, and the fact that Dave Filoni, who was so heavily involved in both of those shows, is working on The Mandalorian now is awesome, and it makes it feel as a part of the universe while still being its own thing as Clone Wars and Rebels did. I think he's really good at that.
In the timeline. Where does Rebels take place in the Star Wars timeline?
It's like 5 years before New Hope. Like the main kid in that is the same age, literally born on the same day as Luke Skywalker.
I'm sure they use that for story purposes.
Yes. Yep.
Okay. I'm trying to think because I if there is a reason for me to start with Rebels and not Clone Wars, because in my head I'm like, if I'm gonna watch another Star Wars show, like because now I have the Star Wars itch. Like I fucking like Mandalorian for some reason. Like I loved Force Awakens. Loved Force Awakens. Like I said, I liked Last Jedi. So like but they didn't get me the same way the Mandalorian has so far. Like I'm in now.
I think if you're gonna watch Clone Wars or Rebels, I would either start Rebels and see if you like it and then switch over, or just start with Clone Wars, because Clone Wars is an anthology. So every it's like 1 to 3 episode story arcs, and then they go to another story arc with a different set of characters. So you might have 2 episodes about Yoda doing something, and then 3 episodes about Anakin and Obi-Wan doing something, and then 2 episodes about Jar Jar doing something. Like it's all over the place. So I think it could be good to start with that, because that way, if you're not liking us, if you start an episode and you're like, I don't need to watch Jar Jar fuck around with droids for 3 episodes, you can just skip that story arc. And they aired out of order, chronologically speaking. Mm-hmm. And on Disney Plus, that's how they're ordered in the way they originally aired. So you can look up a chronological order and watch it that way, or just watch it in whatever order, because that's kind of the point, is that it's just different stories from the Clone Wars. That's basically the whole pitch of the show, is what were people up to? I mean, you should still watch the Anakin stuff in some relative order, because there is a way his character progresses that explains sort of his turn in 3 in Revenge of the Sith. And I think it would be weird if you started with season 5 episodes and then went back to season 1. But in general, you can pretty much watch an isolated Clone Wars arc and get it.
Cool.
Completely.
Okay. And do they have the original the 2D one made by the Samurai Jack people by Genji?
No. Good question. I don't think it's on there though. I feel like I would have noticed that by now. I don't know what maybe because that was a license thing with Cartoon Network. Maybe they just don't own that, maybe. Or because I think it's possible that they're just not putting anything that isn't canon on there.
Sense.
I mean, there's all the Lego animated Star Wars things, the direct-to-video stuff. Bless you.
Thank you.
And that's on there, but I think technically a lot of that is canon, and just with an asterisk being this is canon, but told through the lens of a kid thing. So these events happened, but they didn't necessarily exactly happen this way.
Okay. So
which I think is just a good way of explaining how they've done the Star Wars canon since Disney has got it, is being the movies, the shows, the books, the games, whatever, are all canon. Like the events of them are, but the tone, the
like the blow by blow of like this is how like the narration maybe. Like
it's all just basically like, you know, you could tell two people could tell the same story in completely different ways, you know, like
it's like how different people give the Batman origin story. It's like the Waynes are going to die at the end of the story. It's just a matter of getting them dead.
Or I mean, I don't even mean that far. Like I think literally like the events themselves, but rather like the tone with which it's handled. Like you could probably remake Rebels with like a more serious tone, but keep all the plot points. You know what I mean? Like that. Yeah.
How would you describe the tone of Rebels? And actually, yeah, how would you describe the tone of Rebels? I haven't really seen that much of.
Like I started watching Rebels when I first started, like over a year ago, after like finishing Clone Wars, and Clone Wars gets like pretty damn serious by the end. Like the last like 2 seasons of Clone Wars are like still a kid's show without a doubt. Like there's nothing too dark, but they're like completely made for Star Wars fans of all ages, like truly like older and younger. Rebels felt like when it started, like this is a show for kids. Okay. But I've only just started the 2nd season and it already feels like it's matured a lot. But I mean, it just, if you're going to watch Rebels or Clone Wars, you have to go in knowing like these are kids shows. Okay. They might get dark for kids shows, but they are kids shows. Mandalorian, I don't think has done anything that would make me like not show like a 10 or a 13-year-old, but like
I was surprised to see
still made for older kids. It's not like Game of Thrones and Star Wars, but it's you know, darker than most of the movies are.
Like, there's a dude getting cut in half by a door in the first like 10 minutes. It's a bit. So like, what else have you been watching? Because like I haven't really jumped that much in, but I know that I am going to. Like I'm just, frankly, I keep putting on just The Office while I'm doing something in the background. Like I'm looking for more like background shows that I can also look into. So like if you like they have the Avengers stuff on there, right? Like the Avengers cartoons.
Yeah, well, the Marvel cartoons are really like the thing that excited me the most outside of the original content. I frankly have mostly just been watching Star Wars content because I watched The Mandalorian and I got into Rebels, and I started my rewatch of the movies for Rise of Skywalker, and because I don't have Blu-rays of the original 6 saga films, I'm doing it on Disney Plus because the quality is better than my DVDs. And like they've got the more recent cuts and stuff, which like people might not be a big fan of, but I want to see like what is the canon, the current version of these things, McClunky and all.
I think it's crazy that adding one. I mean, I don't know if there are any other changes, but like as a not original Star Wars fan, I have no idea who the fuck shot first. Like I know that it is. I know that people are upset about it, and I know that there's, you know, several camps that say different things. I have no idea, and I love that I don't know.
Yeah, I think I'm still a young enough fan, even though I've like grown up with it, that I don't really care, because by the time I was watching them, you know, Han was not shooting first. I get why people are upset about that who are old fans, but I think at this point, you just got to laugh at it, like one way or the other, however you feel. Like they're not about to put out the original cut of the movie anytime soon. I would be surprised. Like they've gone this far without doing it. Like just laugh at it. It's a dumb scene now. It started out as like this like dark character defining moment for Han Solo, and now it's just dumb. I get it if you're upset about it, but at the same time, it's been like 20 years. It's stupid now. Let's just laugh at it and enjoy it. And the fact that, I mean, for anyone who doesn't know, basically the big story with that now is that they added a new line of dialogue from Greedo after, like right before he and Han shoot each other. And it's just a random word with no subtitles. And George Lucas apparently added that like before he had a chance to re-release it. Like what I mentioned before, they were going to do the 3D releases. Like that was going to be his new cut of A New Hope that was going to be released in 3D. But he never got a chance to, and then he sold it. So he basically like gave them an updated version that no one had seen before. So when they finally decided to re-release it again, it would just have
the clunky
line.
I just feel like there's one
like a landmine that no one had been sitting there for like years, since like 2012.
What if there's like an intern or someone that like was supposed to make sure that like there wasn't any like damage to the original, like to what they were getting, and that intern had never seen the original Star Wars, so they're just like, "Yep, it's a Star War," and throw it up.
Sounds right to me. He's an alien. Oh God, I could see that happening very easily.
Some kid named Jared just got fired like so hard.
But yeah, to go back to your original question, of what I'm watching, I did watch some of Spider-Man the animated series, the one from the '90s, and I intend on watching a bit more of that and the X-Men show. I think the Marvel cartoons, there's so many bad ones.
They have like the old shit.
They have like '90s X-Men and Spider-Man.
Oh my God!
They have X-Men Evolution from the mid 2000s, which is I think the best X-Men cartoon I've seen. Best adaptation of X-Men I've seen. Adaptation of X-Men I've seen. More than the movies. Like the X-Men Evolution is fantastic. I recommend it to anyone who's an X-Men fan. Those old cartoons are gonna are I'm eventually gonna go through like all of them. I'm sure once I finish Rebels, and I can just like that's something I think is worth putting on in the background because like there's so much of it. There's like 60 episodes of the Spider-Man show, and I think there's even more of X-Men.
I mean, when I was thinking Disney shows initially, I was just like, I don't want to watch Zach and Cody. Like, I don't want to watch like as much as I love Kim Possible. If any like there was someone in my class that had the Kim Possible like ringtone. Like I would get so nostalgic. And I'd be like, oh, Kim Possible. Why aren't they gonna like re-air Kim Possible? Blah blah blah. And now that I can watch Kim Possible at any point, I'm just like, eh. Like
that's the thing. Like I so many people are watching like Disney Channel original movies again, and I'm just like, I didn't watch any of these as a kid. I don't care.
I was like,
I'm here for the Marvel and the Star Wars and like the classic Disney animations, like Pixar and stuff. But like, the only Disney shows I'm probably gonna rewatch are like DuckTales and like Tailspin and like shit like that. You know,
like I think that like I can't wait to get a group together and say, all right, we're going to watch High School Musical, take a shot every time a song comes on, and then just go for it, have a great nostalgic night. But, like, under no circumstances would I, like, sober put on Camp Rock. Like, I wouldn't just be like, oh, man, okay, I can either watch, like Mandalorian, I can say, oh, Watchmen's up. I want to watch Demi Lovato lip sync with Joe Jonas for an hour and a half.
Okay, like the thing is, the reason Disney Plus had 10 million subscribers on the first day is because there are people who truly just signed up to rewatch Camp Rock, Lizzie McGuire, and Jonas or whatever. Like,
I am not one of those people. Like,
I think that's the most surprising thing is that Disney Plus, when it was announced, I was like, oh, cool! Like, I'll be able to watch movies I already own and. Disney stuff. Like, do I really need to pay just for Disney stuff? And now that I'm seeing what they have, like just Disney stuff is a lot, and that's a really scary thing. But as just a consumer who, wants good content, like I like it
in terms
all.
Of the Fox stuff, like I forgot. Two, I don't know how I forgot because I keep seeing all this Simpsons stuff on them like recropping the show. I was actually like before I forgot that they had Fox stuff. Like I was looking forward to going back and watching The Simpsons because I still have never seen like I've seen isolated episodes. I've seen Tree Houses of Horror. I've never seen like a full season of The Simpsons.
You got 30 seasons, my guy. You better start soon.
I'm saying like at this point I know there's so much that I need to watch on Disney Plus. It's just going to be a matter of like for every Halloween town, I need to find the I don't know, some old like Treasure Planet. Like I need to watch Treasure Planet. I keep seeing that on my Twitter.
Treasure Planet is great.
Yeah.
So we've spent a lot of time on this, and we're probably gonna have to end soon. But before we close, I do want to get into some of the stuff we wanted to talk about digital media and physical media, because. As excited as we are about Disney Plus, like there's some issues I have, and I'm curious to get your take on them. Because one, Disney apparently is because there's the Disney Vault, which is like the way Disney has been releasing their old content over the years has been like this movie we're not putting in circulation, like an old Disney animated movie, and then it gets out of the vault, like we're re-releasing it. That's why like Jungle Book Blu-rays came out like 2 years ago. And we're like, a full price thing with all this new packaging because they're trying to it's Disney. This stuff is like classic, so they can like hand you 50-year-old content in a new package and give you full price for it.
Yeah, how much are you willing to pay for your childhood, essentially?
Exactly. Or to give your childhood to your kids. You know what I mean? Like it's all this stuff. Like Mary Poppins. Like when the new one came out, or a year or two before, it was like the 50th anniversary or something of the movie, and they did this big new release. And I don't think it was on Blu-ray before that, even though it's like most other companies, you can probably find a Blu-ray of like, struggling to come up with an example right now, but like a lot of other old classic movies like that, because but Disney can like withhold it because they know when they launch it, it's going to be huge.
And the fact that once they hold something, that immediately puts on, like, if I didn't care about Bambi, if I didn't give a shit about Bambi, if I see, oh shit, Bambi's going away. Why is Bambi like it's going in the vault? Like it adds this level of like, even though like just because I can't have it, I need it, like that kind of thing. And so either I rush to the store to grab it before it actually, and that's when it was in stores.
And so the big thing with that, the scary thing, is that Disney is like very quietly under the radar, or trying to be under the radar, is putting a lot of the classic Fox movies that they now own into the vault. And considering Disney Plus is not really going to have any R-rated content, that's a lot of stuff that probably won't be re-released for some time unless they put it on Hulu or something. And that means that like the main story I saw with this is there are a bunch of theaters that will do like event screenings for older movies. And it's this whole business where you go to the studio, they have people who will like essentially license the movie out to you or rent the movie out to you, and you can play it at your theater. You like pay them some amount, and it's how like Fathom Events can do like a Jaws like screening like 50 years later or whatever. And there's a lot of theaters, especially in like, areas like New York and LA, who do this kind of stuff. And not just there, like there's theaters all over that will play classic movies, cheaper options for people than seeing the big new releases. And so now movies like Alien and Aliens, like the originals, I think the Predator movies, like these kind of things are being put into the Disney vault and won't be able to be screened anymore at theaters. And likely, unless Disney decides to re-release them themselves, won't see any re-releases on physical media or streaming.
Jeez.
And now it would be weird if they were to like shove Alien completely under the rug forever. Like that is like that is something that they could release a ultimate edition of Alien, next week, and diehard fans would buy it. Yeah, absolutely. Like that stuff still sells, even if the more recent movies haven't been as popular. But it's really scary to think that they can just hide stuff away when Disney Plus should be like, these streaming services should, if anything, do the opposite. You know what I mean? Like, and a huge part of this is just Disney becoming a monopoly. Like that's just full stop bad, like without a doubt. But the fact that they could at least be a benevolent monopoly, I mean, that it's obviously not a real thing, but like, they could at least be like, hey, we own everything and we're making it available to you, like the good and the bad, like all of it, like for historical purposes. But instead it's like, we're going to own everything and we're going to put a tight lid and control on it. And that scares the shit out of me. And that's something that comes up in games a lot too, where like a game will be taken off of a digital store, especially games that have only digital releases. And I know the games industry is a little different, like indie games, like not everyone can afford to put out a physical release of their game. And I'm not saying that necessarily is a bad thing, that they have these other options, but when it comes to preservation of art, and keeping records of these things and a history of these things, like it scares me that, and this is something I've always been afraid of with movies and video games, is that you can just take it away from me. Like they're apparently I was watching a podcast earlier, and apparently iTunes, when they lose the license, like the ability to have a certain movie on their store, even though you paid for it, and this isn't a subscription thing, this is you paying $10 for a movie, they can take that out of your library. Like they can just take the movie away from you, even though you have it in your library.
Is it a streaming like is it a
no, this is like downloaded on like movies on your iTunes, not like Apple TV, not like Apple Music where you stream the music. Like this is like shit you could do 15 years ago or 10 years ago, where you could download a movie to your iTunes, like that kind of stuff you can just lose now. And I don't believe for a second that that's not also the case on my PlayStation, on my Switch, on, you know, all these different things. Like I'm sure that like maybe the way it's set up now, it wouldn't be easy for them to do that. But the fact is, I don't feel like I own a movie if I don't have the ability to hold it. That's like a very specific thing that not a lot of people share. But I think when you see stuff like what Disney's doing with the Fox movies, or what, you know, is happening to some people on iTunes, like you can see how this is gonna, in the long term, affect our ability to preserve a lot of this art. And you know, maybe no one wants to see Song of the South again. Like Disney didn't have to put that on Disney Plus. I'm not saying that, but like there should be a way where you could, if you're a professor or even just a historian or enthusiast, like if you want to, like there should be an option to go to Warner Brothers or go to Disney, like on their website, and like print on demand, like Blu-ray or DVD copies of things, just so like that stuff exists. Or there should be copies saved in libraries and stuff like that, like or museums. You know, like the fact that there's stuff like, obviously we've already lost a lot of film history because so much of it in the early days was, you know, on physical film that was burned and lost or degraded over time. And, you know, restoration efforts can only go so far. But, you know, now that things are being released with the intent of being digital, even if they do have a physical release, like that could be limited to a great degree because they're really pushing the digital marketplace. Like it just, like, are we really owning anything anymore, or are we just licensing the right to use it? You know what I mean?
My thing is, I'm not going to I'm not going to argue that point at all, because I don't think it's a matter of like when it comes to games, like the scariest thing that I've heard. So like I haven't heard anything as scary as the iTunes stuff, but it's been a matter of like if you bought a game or something, like I don't know, an always online game. Let's use that for an example. Like you can put a lot of both time and money into some game, and then, you know, either not enough people are playing it, so we're going to shut the servers down, or we got bought out and a new company says that we shouldn't, so we're going to for whatever reason, the servers get shut down. And like, I can't remember exactly what happened with DuckTales Remastered, but I'm pretty sure they were like, like stripped it from storefronts. Like, from what I remember, with the intent to put them back up eventually, like once Disney figured out its whole games consolidation effort, like once that gets figured out, they'll put it back up. But still, that is like, that's shitty. But I guess my issue is just like, it sucks, but like, is it worth the like giving up the benefits? Because I love the idea of, I don't need to worry about like if I'm bringing my PlayStation somewhere, and I, as someone that is extremely indecisive, and honestly, this might have even influenced how I play games, but like as someone that plays like a lot of like online multiplayer stuff, like just the convenience of, okay, I got my daily bounties in Destiny, I want to jump over to something else right now. I can easily just scroll through my library and not have to deal with like, oh, well, where is that right now? Like, even if it is just a matter of, I got to just reach up and grab it right here, open the disc, whatever. Like, every time I do that, that adds up. And if I jump into a game and I'm like, I'm not really feeling this right now, I can easily just be like, I'm going to jump back over to this. And like, sure, there's still the loading time and stuff like that, but it's still the convenience of like, I mean, that I can, I want to play Pokemon as soon as possible. I get home on Thursday night. It is 6 o'clock. I start the download. It is done by 7 o'clock. And now I'm waiting 2 hours until I play. Cause like, and then I can just pick it up, play. I don't need to go anywhere. I don't need to wait for delivery to, you know, get fucked up in the transit on the way here. Like I can just start playing it. In terms of like the issue of like, oh, well, what if they pull whatever? Like you just kind of have to run that risk. Like even if I did own a disc for, I don't know. Like I have a disc for Destiny too. Like I have the disc for it, but if, and for Overwatch, which is like really ironic because those are two games that I will just like just swap back and forth. Like I'm getting my ass kicked in Destiny, I'm going to play Overwatch for a bit. I'm getting my ass kicked in Overwatch, I'm going to flip over to Destiny. Like, like having to swap those two discs honestly not that big a deal. But like, if at any point Blizzard's just like, yo, we're not trying to play Overwatch anymore, none of us, and then they just shut the servers down. Like, I have the disc, I own the game, but I can't play it.
Right. I mean, that's something I've always like, or I never really let bother me when it came to multiplayer games, because I was like, okay, like it's a part of the game. But you know, I mean, that's I like local multiplayer for that reason, where it's just like we're not restricted, we're not. I mean, but like at the same time, I enjoy online multiplayer games enough that like I understand they can't live forever. Like that just doesn't make sense. So like even actually devoid of all this other stuff we're talking about. I mean, they yeah.
That's actually an interesting point, because I saw something that said xCloud is trying to bring back like couch co-op essentially, with the idea that like, since you're not playing on an Xbox, like the game processing is not happening on your hardware, so it's not necessarily limited by what you have in your house. So if you and I both had like xCloud accounts, essentially, we could meet up somewhere, start playing, and just right next, like I can hop into your game, like your Mortal Kombat, whatever. You're trying to think of some other not like fighting game example, like
Halo. I don't know.
Yeah, like a Halo, like just something split screen, and have it run just as well as, you know, like have it, instead of it's going to be 4K, but it's going to be 30 frames per second per screen. Like, you know, 4K, 60 frames per second each screen, because we're doing all that processing in the cloud. Again, not restricted by physical hardware. Like I think that we're going to, I mean, and also to me, it's kind of one of those, like, it's going to happen. So like, I'm just going to, like, I'm typically not like I'm, you know me, like I'm not a super optimistic person when it comes to just like things in general, but with like the whole digital physical thing, like to me, if it's going to be the eventuality, I'm just going to like go with the flow. Like, I think preservation efforts need to be made, but I'm also like, for games, I know that there's the museum in Oakland. Like, there's a video game museum where they have like fucking everything.
That's what I'm saying. More of that. More of that. You know, like just
absolutely.
Like I think the ease and access of streaming and digital has completely changed the game for the good in a lot of ways. Like, people talk about it all the time, like how Netflix has opened the door for a lot of different types of creators to get their stuff made that never would have been able to been able to get, you know, either aired on a network or, you know, put in theaters. And I think same goes for games. Like the fact that Nintendo has like a massive indie marketplace is awesome, you know, and that stuff is primarily digital only. I think all of that is great. I just wish we could find a way to support both sides of the market, because I know I'm not alone. I know I'm not, you know, the majority anymore, but I know I'm not alone. I also think the numbers are that most people still do buy their video games physical. I don't think it's had the same shift that has happened in movies yet, and TV yet. But
with games, you also have to have, like, with streaming, it's just really the download. Like with games, it's like, if you don't have great internet, like I feel like most of the country still doesn't have like gamer great internet. Like,
well, and even if you're not streaming, like even digital downloads, like I think physical games, like I should have had the numbers in front of me, but anyway, that's not the main point.
I mean, I feel like I've seen those. I agree with what you're saying.
We talked before about Moviepass and AMC Stubs. Like, here's what I'm proposing, and then we can, you know, close the show and whatnot, because we've been going pretty long. But this is my final optimistic proposal on how to save physical media. Let's say you could get like a movie pass for games. Like, let's call it, can't call it Games Pass because they've already got that. But let's call it like, I don't know, like let's say it's one through GameStop, like GameStop Pass or whatever. And you pay $10 a month or $15 a month or whatever. And then because games physical media has like the added cost of packaging and shipping and stuff, it's not like you get the games for free. It's not like you pay $15 a month, you go to GameStop and you get a $60 game for free. But what if it was like you pay $15 a month, and then when you go to pick up Pokemon Sword and Shield physical on day one, you can buy them for $15. Like, that way, like, you know, you have the subscription recurring payment model, and then oh god, I just realized my lighting drastically changed. I don't know if anyone's going to be able to see this video for putting it up or not, but anyway. But yeah, basically like the way AMC and Moviepass, or Moviepass is at least supposed to work, where you get the benefits of, you know, like getting the customer to come back to your store over and over and over again. Exactly. Like if I paid $10, $15 a month and I got like games heavily discounted, I would buy more games and I would have more consistent purchases because I would have money down on them already. It's basically like the same idea of like AMC. You see 2 movies a month, it pays for itself. Like GameStop Pass, if we're calling it that. Like you pay $15 and then you pay another $15 for a new game, but then you got a new game for $30 instead of $60. It pays for itself. Then the next month you don't buy anything new. GameStop gets that money. Over time, they are going to make more money more consistently. I mean, this is, I'm not, you know, I'm pitching this as like a general, like I wonder if there's any way for them to like start from there and then, you know, take that in probably a better, more business conscious direction. But
have you seen the GameStop like transition ideas so far?
What, like how they're
like the test stores?
No,
like they have test stores in some area, I think in like Houston. But basically, they're trying to get to more of a like some stores are going to be more esports oriented. Like, hey, we're trying to, you know, incite competition and like that spirit of like, it's cool, just esports. But then the other one, which I think would go really well with your idea, was like, hey, we've got like gaming experts. Like we've got like they, I don't know, Greg Miller on an off day is going to be here and he is going to explain to you what all these games are. If you like are trying to find a game for your kid, you're going to get to sit down. We're going to have a fucking couch and TV set up in the back with all the consoles. You can play the game. We will explain to you all the different mechanics and like all this stuff. So like, I think especially if you're encouraging kids to come in and when I say kids, I mean everyone. Everyone is a kid in my eyes. Like, you know, children are good people. No, they're not. No, they're not. I hate kids so much. I'm just trying to say like
the weirdest tangent of the episode. I'm just
yeah, because I was like, I say kids way too much just to like to refer to general people, and I'm like, I'm not trying to demean people. I'm trying to say like, you know, we're all playing games. Like this is a fun. I'm trying to getting all amped up about fun.
I get what you're saying. I think that
bring the people, if you give them a reason to come in constantly. And like you keep them there, because one of my like if I go into a GameStop, I'm gonna linger, and the longer I linger, the more. And I think that's just fucking sales. Like the longer someone lingers, like you can get them, like you can convince them, try to push them in the right direction. Like if you can. And this year has been kind of an off year for games, but like
it's been slow,
I feel like we've still been on an upward trend of like
absolutely.
I mean, Cyberpunk next year is about to be.
I think we really need to like look at how gaming can continue to grow and become like, I think it's dope that gaming is like now just a mainstream thing and everyone's playing games now and mobile has a big part of that and whatnot. But I think there's something to be said about like the smaller, more contained experiences of playing split screen with your friend on your couch, or having to go to the store to buy a new game and interact with people and, you know, maybe make a friend that way. Like, I don't want that to be lost in the same way I don't want the movie theater going experience to be lost. And, you know, it's a complicated issue. There's a lot of things making it happen on both the movie and the game front. You know, no one person is to blame. I think definitely if these companies were a little more regulated and a little more conscious to this stuff, it would help out. But at the same time, you know, consumers are making the choice to go in this direction too. And, you know, I've definitely submitted to that as well. But, you know, I want to believe that we're not going to lose physical media entirely. And, you know, it's already changed so much in my very short lifetime. So. Yeah,
it's going to be interesting to see how things move on, because I genuinely like for every new technology that comes about, I feel like there are going to be people that are like naysayers, but like in a good way, like the people that like me being excited about Stadia, like me being all excited to you about Stadia, and then you being like, you shouldn't be that excited. Like neither of us with that much information to go off of, but just still that balance of perception, like.
Yeah.
like I feel like we're gonna have to have like there will be, I don't know, more. I think libraries are gonna end up having more games and more movies. I couldn't think of the word. I was like, I knew it wasn't just DVDs. I just kept saying DVDs in my head.
Well, I think our generation is going back to libraries, so hopefully that'll help change it.
Which is weird.
It is weird. But anyway,
let's talk about libraries for another 45 minutes.
Let's add another 45 minutes onto this.
Yeah, let's throw that into the mix.
Well, this has been the first episode of the brand new edition of Loosely Defined. Clearly, we're going longer than we used to. Mm-hmm. If you're returning to us from the old version of the show, we're going to be a lot more open-ended like we were today. If you're new to the show, hopefully you enjoyed it all, and welcome. And, we're going to... Episodes will vary in time length, but generally speaking, they're all going to be probably over an hour. So,
That's what we're in for.
But if you have a short attention span, which I completely understand, we also are going to have a YouTube presence where eventually we'll be releasing content exclusively on YouTube. But for the time being, the main thing you can go to YouTube for is we will be clipping out portions of the episodes. Like, for example, our discussion on Pokemon today might get clipped out, or our review of Pokemon next week might get clipped out, the Stadia discussion. So you can watch smaller, isolated 15 to 20 minute, half an hour sections of the show without having to commit yourself to the whole thing. We're exploring other options as well to make this a more accessible and digestible show for all of you. But yeah, I hope you considered this a success. I had fun.
Yeah, stay tuned. We're trying to mix it up. We're trying to have a lot more fun. Just like, we're two friends recording a podcast together. We're trying to have fun with it.
And, like we said at the beginning, hopefully you can just, keep us on in the background and just, enjoy our discussion, hopefully join in. Follow us on Instagram at Loosely Defined. We will post with new episodes. We will post, I don't know, we'll post stuff on there. That'll be, your
things will be posted,
information for us for the time being, but you can also follow us individually. All this stuff will be in the description, but I am at eWillshire Prime on Twitter and Instagram.
I am at Brother Grim Bo with 2 M's on Instagram and Twitter. Finally changed them so they're the same.
Cool. I also do a community podcast for the TV show Community that recaps one episode every week, going through the entire series to commemorate 10 years since the premiere. Bo has been on it like 5 times now. So if you liked our discussion, you can go check that out as well. I also do YouTube stuff of my own. Just search for my name. And
you've been writing things now, right? Where can you
comic book resources, features writer, so you can check that out as well. I will put all the full breadth of our plug links in the description. I don't want to drag this out any further than it already is. Thank you so much for listening.
We love you.
We do love you.
Or at least I do.
Yeah. Welcome back.
Stay loose, everybody.
Stay loose. I love it. Oh my God. That's so good.
It sounds kind of gross, but I'm with it.
No. We're keeping that.
Stay loose. Stay limber.